The White Sox got swept in Milwaukee and have lost 11 in a row. Let's discuss how the Sox kept finding ways to lose to the Brewers over the weekend next on Locked On White Sox.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And hello, I'm your host, Todd Welter, a lifelong Sox fan and the site expert of Southside Showdown, part of the Fansided Network. You can check out my written content at SouthsideShowdown.com. And also, I've covered Major League Baseball for outlets such as the Associated Press. And thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And hey, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox. Smash the like button. Also follow or subscribe to the show on wherever you get your podcasts. And hey, leave a 5-star review. Well, the White Sox are in the middle of a very tough 39-game stretch of schedule, and it has gone as bad as you can imagine. The Sox are 1-15, and we still have a few more games to go before we even hit the halfway mark. As I said to start the show, the Sox losing streak has reached 11 games, and they are 30 games under 500 after 60 games. That is a pace to finish with the worst record ever for a 162-game schedule. Yes, the 2003 Detroit Tigers, they had 16 wins at this point. And the Sox actually had a chance in Milwaukee to pull off a few stunning upsets, and they yet let victory slip through their fingers. So I'll discuss just how bad it got in the Brew City for the Sox. Then let's dive into the good that happened over the weekend, as I can't just be all doom and gloom. And finally, it is Monday, so that means it is a Minor League Monday report. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job, and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. Okay, so the Sox were outscored by the Brewers 22-11. But all three games, the Sox actually had a chance for victory. Or at least they can say, hey, we were leading the NL Central, the team that is leading the NL Central. On Friday night, the White Sox had a 5-4 lead heading into the seventh when the bullpen came apart as Michael Soroka, John Brebbia, and Jared Schuster gave up 8 runs in a 12-5 defeat. But 12 runs wasn't the big number. The actual big number was the Brewers finished with 23 hits. And that's the most in the majors so far this season. Christian Yelich destroyed the Sox with 5 of them. But the biggest problem was a lot of those hits came mostly on the ground. And what dead man walking manager Pedro Grifol had to say about it, well, James Fegan had this in his recap on SoxMachine.com. Quote, "We're going to look at it, of course. Not just us, but our analytics department is going to look at it. We get a report after every game for tomorrow to see where those ground balls were and where we were. Overall, we've been okay. We've been right around average to maybe a tick above at times, a tick below at times. Today was definitely something we have to look at." Now, former White Sox manager Ozzie Guillen, he's been taking it on the chin as he's now part of the postgame show. Kind of went off on analytics. But the point I think he was trying to make, or the point that a lot of the still traditionalists try to make, is I think sometimes you have to make those adjustments when the flip side of the math is happening. Meaning, all the numbers say, hey, we got to play Christian Yelich this way because he's going to typically hit the ball this way. But what do you do when it's the minority? Hey, the ball, 90% chance. What do you do when the 10% chance happens? And that's where you sometimes got to make those adjustments. That's all. And look, I'm a numbers guy. I love numbers. I love the math, the stats. When I got my baseball cards when I was a kid, love the picture on the front. You flip it over. But, and the other thing is Pedro just should have said that the balls were just hitting the holes. And he sort of did that, but that's where you leave it. Because, for example, Christian Yelich got a single on a check swing. All he did, check swing, and it just bounced down the line, hit the foul line. It was one of those things where the breaks did not go the White Sox way late in the game. That's it. And again, how much more do we have to take with Pedro's lame excuses or poor communication before it's time to move on from this guy? How much more? And I was thinking, maybe I should build the show around it's time to fire Pedro. How much is enough is enough? When do we need to make change for the sake of change? But the blood oath that I think he's sworn to Jerry is getting in the way. I think Chris Getz is possibly thinking, you know what? I'm just focusing in on the draft. I'm focusing in on the trade deadline. Let the chips fall where they may. But Saturday, the Sox once again had a 3-1 lead heading into the seventh. Once again, the lead went away when Willie Adames hit a 2-run single to tie the game up. Michael Kopech cannot keep the Manfred runner from scoring in the 10th as Adames hit a sharp ball to Zach Remillard. Remillard couldn't corral it and walk off. And again, I hate the Manfred runner, at least in the 10th inning. You know, I'm still a little leery on the 11th, but at least give me some sort of regular extra baseball, just like most of the other sports do. Basketball, they still play 5 minutes. It's not like, hey, let's go to the free throw shooting contest right away. Hockey, yes, they have gone to 3-on-3, but they're still playing hockey. And the only other reason why they went to 3-on-3 was because a lot of games were still going to shootouts. And in the playoffs, they still do 5-on-5. Football, at least in the pros, they still play regular football. This would be like the equivalent of going straight to the shootout in hockey. I don't like the Manfred runner in the 10th. I like it, in the 11th. I definitely like it in the 12th. For being a guy who's covered baseball, trust me, there's nothing worse than a night game that's already gone 3.5 hours and then has to go like another 4 or 5 extra innings. Trust me, you can love it. It's not fun to cover. And then finally on Sunday, Sox blew another lead. Only this time it was early in the game. Sox jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the first. Rookie Nick Nastrini gave it right back in the second when he gave up 4 runs, including a 3-run shot to Jackson Churio. And the Sox ended up losing 6-3. And again, how much do we have to deal with, though, before this organization makes some changes for the sake of change? Meaning some bullpen arms need to be DFA'd. John Brebbia and Michael Soroka. Get them out of here. And if my math is correct, Pedro Grifol is now 76-206 as the manager of the Chicago White Sox. And although you never want to see a player get hurt, the lineup, though, will get some changes. Andrew Benintendi is now on the 10-day IL with an Achilles problem. Andrew Vaughn may have to join him with a finger issue. You and I are stuck with Benintendi for at least 2 more seasons. I say use as much time as possible for him to heal up, but also use as much time to work on whatever he needs to do to get back to at least being a decent hitter. And decent is about all we can ask for, which is sad. And also in a lost season, I think the Sox really have to assess the difference between asking somebody to play through soreness and legit injury. Now, if you're in contention, yeah, you got to sometimes take a look and say, hey, even if this guy's 80%, even if this guy's at 80%, his 80% is better than my other guy's 100%. But this season is lost. And Andrew Vaughn was clearly struggling at the plate. And maybe it was the finger issue. And if it was, put him on the IL. It's that simple. It's a lost year. You're not going anywhere. Stop managing like you're going to go on a 30-game win streak. Well, I've gone over a lot of bad. And as you know, I do like to highlight the good in a series after every series is over. So let's discuss that next on Locked On White Sox. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy to use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. And are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Lockdown Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest sports stories without all that screaming. Lockdown Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Lockdown Podcast Network. Your team every day. And the White Sox are off today, but tomorrow it is the start of a two-game set against the crosstown rival Chicago Cubs. First pitch is on Tuesday at 7:05 p.m. Central. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. And welcome back into Lockdown White Sox. I am your host, Todd Welter, and thank you for making the show your first listen. Again, lots of great White Sox podcasts out there. I just always ask, let me be your first one. And make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Lockdown White Sox. Smash that like button. Also follow or subscribe to the show on wherever you get your podcasts. And hey, leave a 5-star review. So in the previous segment, we obviously talked about all that bad that happened in Milwaukee, but there was still some good. This season's terrible. I can hammer home on Pedro Grifol all day long, but you know what? That's just going to make me even more curmudgeon than I already am. And that might make you more curmudgeon. So let's discuss some of the good that happened. Tommy Pham, he was great on Friday night with 2 hits and 2 runs. He did proceed to go 0 for 8 the rest of the series and only just had a walk. So why does he make the good? Well, because he's one of the few players showing heart out there every game, and he plays the right way. And he sort of called out Pedro Grifol. He made the final out of the 8th inning when he was sent home after a shallow fly to left, easily out at home. Christian Yelich doesn't have the greatest arm, but man, he had him dead to rights. And Pham took exception to some words said by William Contreras after he was tagged out at home, and that nearly led to a brawl. The Brewers just love to poke the bear. I don't know how many times this season where the benches have at least cleared, or there's been some sort of potential fight with the Brewers, but they love to poke the bear. But Tommy Pham was heated. And here's what he said after the game. Scott Merkin had the quote on X at Scott Merkin. Quote, 1-run ball game, close play at the plate. Actually wasn't even bleeping close. It was a shallow fly ball to left. You'd expect the left fielder to throw the base runner out at that play. Situation of the game, third base coach sends you. You got to go. I'm nailed out at home by a mile. I'm going to the dugout and I hear the tough guy with all the hoorah bleep. So I'll never start anything, but I'm prepared to finish it. There's a reason why I do all kinds of fighting in the off season because I'm prepared to bleep somebody up. So you can take it as what it is, end quote. I am going to miss Tommy Pham when he's traded. And I just picture, could you imagine Tommy Pham on that 2022 White Sox team? Now, I'm not saying he's the savior. He's been a solid ball player his entire career, but man, he's been a breath of fresh air to this team. He's one of the few reasons to even just watch the White Sox this year. And what's sad is he's been signed for the sake of being traded. And what's even tougher is Chris Getz might try to get as much as he can for him, but every general manager is probably going to cite last year this guy went for a lottery ticket prospect. He's got value, but I don't know if he's going to have the value that we all think he's going to have. Although, quick going to a bad thing, John Triffin's call of that was terrible. I mean, it's cringy. Look it up on X. It's on at White Sox Talk. It is bad. Basically, he's like, I don't care how many L's we have. We're not taking that from Milwaukee. Yeah, whenever you say, I don't care how many L's I have, I don't think John's been I don't want to get there. From what I understand, John had some bad calls. Because again, with the blackout rules, I had to watch a lot of the recaps. I was there on Sunday, so I would have not have heard John's television calls. But he's not doing much to endear himself. I'll say to at least the mainstream media. And now I'm starting to sound like a conservative talk show host. So let's move on to some more good here. Corey Julks had a hit in each game, including a multi-hit game on Saturday. And the one thing with Benintendi going on the IL, it's going to allow Julks to play every day. It's been something that I've been harping on, hoping for. As you know, Julks needs to play because we either need to, Sox need to ride his heater if he's just on a heater, or hey, let's see if he can be a contributing player for the future. Also, Oscar Colas, he's back from exile. He was called up to replace Benintendi on the roster. Maybe he can show he can be the everyday right fielder as he started yesterday. Although Dominic Fletcher made an amazing catch in the 7th yesterday to rob William Contreras of a 3-run homer. Although with Luis Robert Jr. coming up, you wonder what they're going to do with Colas and Fletcher. So Luis Robert Jr. hopefully should be back for the Cubs series. You're going to have Pham. I don't know why Pedro tries to give him a day off. Just play this guy every day until you trade him. You'd have Julks and Luis Robert Jr. So then you got to pick, do we stick with Colas? Do we give him a look? Or give him the at-bats when you do want to sit Pham? But man, Fletcher made just a nice superhero catch there. Gavin Sheets, he had 4 RBIs in the series, including a 2-run blast on Saturday. Too bad the Sox offense just produced 3 runs that day, as it ruined another outstanding outing by Garrett Crochet. The bullpen and then just only getting 3 runs took away a loss from Crochet as he went 6 innings, gave up just 1 run, 5 hits, struck out 8, threw 103 pitches, the most he has thrown this season. So it'll be interesting to see how much he goes in his next start. The Sox are trying to be conservative, rightfully so, trying to make sure that he gets through this season unscathed. Paul DeJong crushed 2 solo home runs this series. He's leading the team among those with qualified at-bats and slugging at .444. So he's almost at a really good slugging. And he has hit 21% of the team's home runs. He's one of the few ball players that can put the ball in the air and sometimes get it over the fence. Nicky Lopez, hey, he had a couple of hits in this series. Eric Fetty, he was just okay on Friday in his start. You would have liked to have seen him really dominate to drive up that trade value to the Brewers. As I keep saying, the Brewers could really use a pitcher like Fetty as their starting rotation is banged up. But he battled out there as he allowed 4 runs, 9 hits, walked 4, and struck out 8. And Nick Nastrini on Sunday needs to learn how to command his pitches. 50% of his pitches that he threw, of the 78 pitches that he threw, were balls. And he had 1 throw where it was something out of Major League. But why am I bringing him up in this segment? Well, he did minimize the damage, just gave up 4 runs on 3 hits, walked 3. Although he only made it through 4 innings. But if he gets that command, if he can command his pitches better, limit the amount of balls he's throwing, he's got the chances. You've seen he was able to battle. He's got the chance to be a very solid starting pitcher. Well, it is Monday, so that means it's a Minor League Monday report. Let's get to that next on Locked On White Sox. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun, exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on two or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. There's always action on PrizePicks, and this is the perfect time to try out something new as basketball is winding down. Make sure to try out esports this month because for every Wednesday and Saturday in June, if your lineup doesn't win, you'll get your entry fee back. Choose from Counter-Strike 2, Call of Duty, League of Legends, and more. And if you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every week from lowering select player stat projections on Tuesday, which increases your chance of getting a win, to getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. And here's what's great about PrizePicks. If you feel confident, go with the power play, meaning if every pick wins, you win a higher payout. Want to play it safe? They have the flex play where if you say you do a six-player choice and one misses, you still get a payout. Minimum entry is just $5. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And the White Sox are off today, but tomorrow it is the start of a two-game set against the crosstown rival Chicago Cubs. First pitch on Tuesday is at 6:05 Central. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. And welcome back into Locked On White Sox. Thank you for sticking with me this long. Hope you had a good weekend. And for those that came up for the three-game series in Milwaukee, hope you enjoyed my hometown. Well, my adopted hometown. As you know, I was born and raised in Johnsburg, Illinois. I actually ended up going on Sunday. Had a great time. Took my daughter and my wife and my in-laws. My daughter loved the kids' play area and the Dippin' Dots. And those that went to the tailgate that the From the 108, the Sports Bums and Sox Machine hosted on Saturday, looked like you guys had a great time, even though it was raining. I really wanted to make it, but had some family commitments. So due to MLB TV's stupid blackout restrictions, I could not watch Friday's Sox and Brewers game live. And I got Dish up here, and they don't carry Bailey Sports Wisconsin. So instead, I watched the Birmingham Barons versus the Rock City Trash Pandas. The Rocket City Trash Pandas. I love that name. I love minor league baseball names. They're the best. And I'm glad I did because that is where the hope is. And Jake Eater, pitcher acquired in the Jake Berger deal, he was dealing 6 1/3 innings of shutout ball. The ERA is now down to 4.01 after his last 3 outings, where he's just given up 3 runs. He's a 10th rated prospect. Got off to a rough start, but he's starting to settle in. Mason Adams, again, one of those outstanding pitchers in Double-A, number 19 prospect. He was darn good on Sunday. At Future Sox tweeted this out. Another stellar outing from Mason Adams. His longest of the season. He goes 7 innings on 58 strikes over 79 pitches and allows 1 run on 5 hits and no walks. Struck out 2. He threw a first pitch strike to 19 of 25 batters faced and had 12 ground ball outs to 6 fly ball outs. He didn't deserve a no decision. And again, this is the path that the Sox are going to have to take to get back to respectability, at least, is hoping that a lot of these stud pitchers that they have in Double-A make it to the major league levels and then develop into actually what they're showing at Double-A. And again, that's where I would be, developing my pitchers is at Double-A. I'd be using Charlotte as my parking lot for how they have Jonathan Cannon right now. If I don't have a spot for them up in the big leagues, but I'd be using AAA Charlotte as my depth / parking lot. It's Double-A where I'd be really developing my pitchers because there's only so many bullets in those arms. Noah Schultz, the Sox top pitching prospect, he threw on Saturday for the Barons. Only went 3 2/3 innings, 1 hit, 7 strikeouts. Again, don't worry about the 3 2/3 innings. The Sox are only allowing him to pitch no more than 4 innings. Although I wonder what the innings limit, does it make sense to turn Schultz into a late game, high leverage bullpen arm at the major league level? Just a thought. I definitely do think starter with his size, and I get the conservative approach. But with the way you need to get outs in today's baseball games, or in today's baseball, especially certain situations, you develop them kind of into like what Michael Kopech was in 2021, a late inning weapon that you could get multi innings out of. Now, on the flip side, I hate those type of proposals, so I violated my own rules. Like, I can't stand when still people are like, Garrett Crochet should come out of the bullpen, throws 100. That's when he was most effective. When it's like, no, Garrett Crochet's a dude. You have that guy starting every 5 days. Catcher Edgar Carrero, he's the number 4 prospect, starting to get out of that slump. Had 7 hits in the past 4 games, including 3 multi-hit games. Slash line is now 229, 319, 386. So let's hope he's gotten right. Because again, I would love to see Corey Lee and him alternating at catcher at the major league level. Obviously, it's better than seeing Martin Maldonado catching at the major league level. I talked about Brian Ramos getting demoted to AAA Charlotte. He had 6 hits in 4 games this weekend. Now, one of the reasons why he was demoted back, even because he was struggling at the major league level, but one of the reasons is they wanted him to get working with shortstop Colson Montgomery in the infield. Although I don't know why you would have your shortstop and your third baseman needing to be on the same page, because it's not like they're turning double plays together. But at the same point, you can kind of work on, they can kind of get a feel of where should they be positioned. Montgomery, he had a big night on Friday. The Sox top prospect went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Had 7 hits. He's had 7 hits in his past 4 games. Some other news and notes. James Fox of Future Sox at JamesFox917 tweeted this out. Despite a 39% strikeout rate in the Arizona Complex League, 18-year-old outfielder George Wolcott, hopefully didn't butcher that name, has slashed 333, 433, 561 with 150 WRC plus in 15 games. The local product is being promoted to the Kannapolis Cannonballers to continue his season. And he was a 7th round pick. That was one of the prospects. I know AJ Przinsky went off on the Sox drafting that they never really stole a 1st round pick. But that's a prospect that they basically stole, that they were able to prevent from going to college. So it's good to see that he's already now at low A ball. And finally, the Dominican Summer League is about to start. SoxOn35th.com has a great write-up about 5 players that you should watch for, although it's kind of hard to watch the Dominican Summer League. So you might want to Google and just keep track of these 5 guys. Eduardo Herrera, big third baseman. Jurdak Profar, shortstop. Jesus Permolia. Again, I'm sorry if I butchered your name. First baseman, Christian Gonzalez. He's an outfielder. And Orlando Suarez is a right-handed pitcher. And this is how you should be supplementing your draft misses. And also, this is how you should be getting your first baseman and third baseman. Go through the international market. So those are 5 names. Again, it's on Sox on 35th. And again, if you ever want any good prospect news, SoxOn35th.com, at Future Sox, and Southside Sox. They do a great job of covering the prospects. Well, that wraps up this edition of Locked On White Sox. Before I go, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. And I'll be back tomorrow with a special guest to talk about the Cubs and Sox rivalry and talk some White Sox baseball. Trust me, you'll enjoy it. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page at Locked On White Sox. Smash the like button and give a 5-star review on wherever you get your podcasts. Also, feel free to leave comments about today's topics regarding just how bad it was in Milwaukee for the Sox and going over some of the good, and then also the Minor League Monday report. You can leave them at Twitter at ToddJDub or email me at lockedonwhitesox@gmail.com. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.